Part 57. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 562. Master, please tell me, the tall, thin man spoke on behalf of everyone. The rest of the people also looked at Len Ning. I took people to the rescue this time just to take the lead and delay the time for our large troops to rush to the rescue. I didn't do it to show off as a hero and to eliminate all the zombies on our own, Len Ning said in a deep voice. The scene was silent, listening quietly to Len Ning continue to speak. Being the first to fight means that we will be on the front line when the time comes, and we will face a zombie wave that is more terrifying than a flood. This cannot be stopped by one or two people. If you don't pay attention, not only one person, but even his teammates will be affected. Might be engulfed by a zombie wave. This requires you to have a sense of teamwork and to fight together. When you move forward together. The most important thing is that when you retreat, you must retreat immediately, no matter how special the situation is at the time. Because you are not alone. Individual decisions will affect the whole group. Everyone looked solemn. They all understood what Len Ning said, and they had heard their captain or helmsman say these things before. But now they are really going to the battlefield. They may encounter these situations soon. What should they do then? When faced with a real dilemma, can they really abandon their small self and achieve their greater self? Just when everyone was looking at me, without answering, there was a loud noise not far away. It was Yuan Xing and Zhou Tao who brought people here. A smile appeared on Len Ning's face. I saw them running quickly and then lining up in the open space. Hall Master, when will we set off? Zhou Tao was the first to arrange the team and walk towards Len Ning. Yuan Xing also followed immediately. Without further ado, let's set off now. You go to the front, Len Ning said in a deep voice. Zhou Tao's face was filled with joy, and he immediately went to the side and took out the general cards one by one from the space ring. Then, Zhou Tao and Yuan Xing said hello, and the two teams began to get on the bus. The newly promoted third-level superpowers, who had been silent when they saw the arrival of the first and second-level Helm Masters, finally couldn't sit still. Master, we can do what you just said, take us with you, the tall, thin man still spoke first. It is such a rare opportunity to fight with the Hall Master and the elites of the first and second rudders. If you miss today, you may not miss it in the future. They finally broke through the third level and became qualified to become superpowers. If you work hard, you may have a bigger space and stage in the future. The rescue of Quanglan base this time is a good opportunity. If you can perform well, you may have a chance to enter the first or second branch, and maybe become an elite member of the fifth branch. Master, I'm going to, the short, fat man followed. And me, for a moment, everyone's emotions rose again. Len Ning nodded. He took out a truck from the space jade and put it aside. You two will temporarily serve as the captain and vice captain of the team. When you arrive at the destination, you will obey the arrangements. Then you will take everyone with me to act. Len Ning looked at the tall, thin man and the short and fat man and said. Yes, the two looked happy and hurriedly saluted Len Ning. Okay, this operation is voluntary. There will be no reward for those who go, and I won't blame those who don't go. Those who are willing to go, get in the car now, Len Ning said directly. You take the driver and co-pilot. Then he looked at the two of them. Yes, the two of them responded immediately. When entering the fifth branch, shooting a gun is a compulsory course like driving a car. They already know how to drive. Len Ning nodded and said no more. He went directly to the side to get his off-road vehicle and came out. After getting in the vehicle, he started the vehicle and chased the military truck with one or two rudders. Seeing this, the two new captains hurriedly urged everyone, and they quickly walked towards the cab and co-pilot of the military truck. Soon, everyone got in the car, and the tall, thin man drove the car to chase Len Ning. Fortunately, the military cards were not moving very fast, so they had no trouble catching up with the team. Len Ning looked in the rearview mirror and saw Junka chasing after him, and the corner of his mouth raised a smile. As long as she is here, nothing serious will happen to these boys. It's just that her plan to kill everyone might not be possible. But it doesn't matter, since they are hers, she will treat them as accompanying them to experience this time. It just so happens that I should also observe to see if any of them have excellent qualifications, so that I can focus on cultivating them. The car drove along and soon arrived near Quanglan base. When she found a large number of zombies moving towards the Quanglan base at a fork in the road, Len Ning realized that the situation was probably worse than she thought. Yuan Xing, please stay with the car of people. Len Ning picked up the walkie-talkie and said. There was a moment of silence on the other end of the intercom. Received, Hall Master, but soon, a reply came. Yes. After you lure away the zombies, then join us at Quanglan base. Len Ning continued. Yes. As soon as Yuan Xing finished speaking, the motorcade happened to reach a fork in the road. Then, the military truck where Yuan Xing was located left the convoy and headed towards the right lane. Zhou Tao continued to lead the convoy and circled back from the other direction, preparing to change its route into Quanglan from the direction of the mountain behind the Quanglan base. Not long after the convoy drove, everyone heard a violent explosion from behind. It seems that Yuan Xing's action has already begun. The flow of zombies is so large that there is no need to use sound to lure them away from their original direction. The tide of zombies will only get bigger and bigger. By then Quanglan base will really be trapped. There are only 25 people in a military truck, and including Yuan Xing himself, there are only 26 people in total. It can be said that the task of relying solely on them to block the flow of zombies and kill the zombie flow that may continue to form is quite heavy. However, Len Ning believed that Yuan Xing could do it. The rest of the team thought so too. Slowly, the explosions heard by the convoy became smaller and smaller, and they finally arrived at the mountain behind Quanglan base. This road was specially opened by Quanglan base. Under the difficult situation of manpower, Zhang Lan specially sent people to build the road to avoid encountering a situation like today. This road is not only a last resort escape route, but also a rescue route in an emergency. When the people at the checkpoint learned that Len Ning had arrived, they hurriedly let him go, got into Zhou Tao's car, and led the convoy from Quanglan base to the front line to meet Zhang Huai. The journey followed smoothly, and the group soon reached the front line. Len Ning directly asked everyone to wait in line outside, and followed a soldier to see Zhang Huai. Zhou Tao and others waiting outside soon noticed the strange looks from the people around them, and heard some very harsh sounds. Didn't the second young master say that Thunder Base would send troops to rescue us? Are these the few people here? Someone whispered. I'm afraid I can't even count 100 people. This wave of zombies is said to be no less than 20,000. If they really get in, it won't be enough to squeeze them in, another person followed. The woman who just entered seems to be Len Ning from the Thunder Base. I heard that she is very powerful, but I don't know if that is exaggerated, someone else said. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 563. TCH, you also believe the rumors, one person said disdainfully, look at her thin arms and legs, 1 for 10,000. Only the Thunder Base dares to boast like this. I think it was a rumor created by Lei to save face for his woman. I heard that they are getting married soon, and many invitations were sent to our Quanglan base. Zhou Tao and others had darkened faces. But I think these are extraordinary times. There are rules in the fifth hall. During the mission, you must be careful in your words and actions, abide by discipline, and everyone must be patient. Helmsman, the person closest to Zhou Tao, finally couldn't bear it anymore. Zhou Tao glanced at the man. When you have to prove yourself, don't cause trouble to the hall master, he said while holding back his anger. After saying this, Zhou Tao immediately looked at the gossipers with displeasure. He didn't take any action, but immediately released the pressure. He has just entered the 4th level, and his strength can be ranked in the top 10 even at the Thunder base. As for Quanglin base, no one should be his opponent. Due to the order of the Hall Master, he could not rashly attack these people, but he was not helpless. Almost immediately, those people felt a huge sense of oppression, and they no longer dared to look at Zhou Tao. As superpowers, they quickly realized what was going on. Coercion. Not everyone can unleash this absolute, invisible force of oppression. Before, they thought that coercion was a fabrication made by others and did not exist at all. But now, they really feel this terrifying power. With such strong pressure, the opponent's strength is unknown how much higher than theirs. With this understanding, no one of them dared to say anything more at this moment. They are one of the few third-level superpowers in the Quanglin base, and their strength is almost considered to be top-notch in the entire Quanglin base. Because he was used to being arrogant, and seeing that there were only so many people at the Thunder base, he started to complain and ridicule people. But now they know that there are people outside the world, and there is a sky outside the world. The strength of this helmsman under Len Ning is probably unfathomable. In these last days, the strong should get enough respect. Seeing that several people had shut their mouths and didn't dare to raise their heads, Zhou Tao raised the corners of his lips and withdrew his pressure. Several people felt that the pressure was gone, and they breathed a sigh of relief. They all bowed to Zhou Tao and did not dare to say any more. Seeing this scene, the superpowers who followed Zhou Tao all rolled their eyes at those people. Now that their helmsman has regained face for the Thunder base, there is no need for them to be like these villains. On the other side, Len Ning was taken into the temporary combat command room of Quanglin base by soldiers. "Master Len, you're finally here." As soon as the soldier came in to announce, Zhang Huai came to greet him. The rest of the people behind him also looked at Len Ning. Most of them had gratitude and happiness in their eyes, but some of them didn't look so eager. "Yes. Bring some people to help." "But there are not many people." "There are 118 people including me," Len Ning said directly. As soon as Len Ning said these words, his originally happy face quickly fell. Those who were not so looking forward to seeing Len Ning now had even weirder expressions. Zhang Huai was also stunned. "When I came over, I found that there was a large flow of zombies surging in the direction of Quanglin at the Qianshan mountain. I asked Yuan Xin to separate 25 people and asked him to find a way to cut off the zombie flow and lead it away, so in reality now there are only 91 people left who followed her here." A look of surprise flashed across everyone's faces. "What? Only 26 people are trying to cut off the flow of zombies and lure away all the zombies that follow? Was she joking, or did they all get it wrong?" "Thank you for your hard work," Zhang Huai said gratefully to Len Ning. "The people in Quanglin have inherited some of the ideas from the upper echelons and have always thought highly of themselves. They even think that the Thunder base is not much stronger than Quanglin. The reason for this is not only because Quanglin itself is a large base, but also because the upper management is deliberately deceiving it. After all, the Quanglin base has always regarded the Thunder base as its opponent, so the upper management will definitely find a way to make the people under them work with the base. The best way is to elevate yourself and belittle others. In this way, the superpowers will not think about leaving Quanglin base to go to Thunder base, and they will be more obedient to the instructions from the upper level of Quanglin base. But others don't know it, but he knows it best. The gap between Quanglin base and Thunder base is not just a tiny bit, but a gap. Len Ning was his student and his ally. Since she only brought these people here, it proved that these people were enough to help them resist the zombie wave. At least it can help them delay until a large number of rescue teams arrive. The people I brought will join me in the war. What are your plans now? Len Ning asked directly. Follow me, Zhang Huai said immediately. Then, he led Len Ning towards the combat table at the back. Walking to the combat table, Len Ning saw a defense map of Quanglan base on the table. The drawing is quite detailed and looks clear at a glance. As soon as Len Ning put her eyes on the defense map, almost immediately, several unfriendly eyes looked at her. "Second young master, is this bad?" "This is the secret map of our Quanglan base," a bearded man suddenly said. One sentence directly made Len Ning look away from the map. Only then did Len Ning clearly notice that several people were looking at him warily. "Hall Master Len, we at Quanglan base are deeply grateful for your help. It's just our military affairs at Quanglan, so we hope you won't interfere," a smiling man then said to Len Ning. The tone was very polite, but the meaning behind it made people feel particularly harsh. Before Len Ning could pull his face down, Zhang Huai's face was already completely black. "How presumptuous! Who gave you the courage to talk to Hall Master Len like this?" Zhang Huai was furious. After going through so many things, he and Len Ning were deeply entangled in personal relationships and interests. In the Quanglan base, he has always put up a sign of being close to the Thunder base, or in other words, close to Len Ning. These people are targeting Len Ning now not only because they look down on her or the people she brought with her, but also because they have a problem with him. After Zhang Lin's death, most of his forces were gradually brought under his command. But there were also many people who took refuge in his third uncle. It's okay for these people to dissatisfy him on weekdays. Now at such a critical time, they still use words to offend Len Ning. They are simply looking for death. As soon as Zhang Huai's words came out, several people were stunned. But the bearded guy looked like he had a bad temper, and he was still looking at Len Ning displeased. "Mr. Yang, where did you say something wrong?" "Second young master, don't forget. You are from Quanglan, not from Thunder base -dog." The bearded man didn't say the last word. Zhang Huai was furious, and suddenly there was a gun in his hand, pointing directly at the bearded man. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 564. The scene became tense at that moment. There was a slight hint of fear in the bearded eyes, but it disappeared in just a moment. "It's worth it for me, Xi and Gang, to exchange one of my lives for Er Xiao's more blood," then he said to Zhang Huai. Upon hearing this, everyone began to advise Zhang Huai. "Second young master, the war is imminent, we can't mess up our position," someone even grabbed Zhang Huai. "Xi and Gang has an impulsive personality, you can lock him up first," someone else said to protect Xi and Gang to prevent Zhang Huai from actually shooting him. Xi and Gang also thinks about Quanglan base. The scene was in chaos for a while. A trace of depression flashed in Len Ning's eyes. "That's enough," then he suddenly said. Because her voice was cold enough and high enough, the scene actually became quiet. "Since Quanglan base doesn't welcome me, I have no interest in staying here," Len Ning said and looked at Zhang Huai. "Teacher Zhang, please hand over Zhou Tao's family to me, and I will take them and leave Quanglan immediately. She came here just for Teacher Jiang's sake, and she also thought that the people in Quanglan would eventually become members of their Thunder safe zone. Now it seemed that she was overthinking it. Anyway, now she has no interest in saving these unscrupulous people." Upon hearing this, many people's expressions changed drastically. Especially Zhang Huai and the people around him. Although the expressions of the remaining few people also changed a little, they did not mean to say soft words. Boom! Suddenly there was a small muffled sound, and a red hole appeared on Xinggang's forehead, and his tall body fell down instantly. "Whoever dares to be disrespectful to Hall Master Leng again will suffer the consequences," Zhang Huai said to the crowd coldly. The scene suddenly became quiet. Several people who were against Zhang Huai like Xi and Gang did not dare to speak. After all, Xin Zheng held an important position in the military and was a close confidant of the third city lord. Now the second young master has killed him in front of so many people. Let's see how he will explain to the third city lord next. Zhang Huai glanced around the crowd, and after seeing that no one dared to contradict him, he turned to look at Lin Ning. I failed to take care of my subordinates. Please forgive me, Hall Master Lin, and continue to help us Quanglin. Zhang Huai bowed respectfully to Lin Ning. Lin Ning glanced at Zhang Huai, and his eyes swept across the crowd again. I found that this time, no one dared to look at her the way they did before. You can help me if you want, but now I have conditions, then he said. Everyone was shocked. Especially those who were dissatisfied with Lin Ning. Irritability flashed across their faces. Does this woman really take herself seriously? If they hadn't considered that offending her might offend the thunder base behind her and affect the arrival of subsequent reinforcements, how could they have endured and let Xin Gang be beaten to death in vain? Now seeing the second young master supporting her, he even made conditions. The few people she brought were not enough to fill the gap between the zombies. What role could they play? Say, Zhang Huai said solemnly. Success caused dissatisfaction among people. But because Xin Gang's example was right in front of him, no one dared to stand up and refute. Lin Ning raised the corner of his mouth. The crystal cores of the zombies I brought will belong to us. In addition, after the war, Quanglin base will have to give us twice the same crystal cores. As soon as Lin Ning said these words, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. She only brought over 100 people, how many zombies could she kill? According to the conventions of major bases, the reinforcements help other bases kill zombies, and in the end the crystal core itself belongs to the reinforcements. Therefore, Lin Ning's condition is equivalent to them only giving her twice more crystal nuclei. Small amount. Everyone looked relaxed, but Zhang Huai was silent. Who is Lin Ning? She now controls the fifth branch, the most powerful and wealthy thunder base. If it is just a small profit, does she need to show it? Second young master, agree, someone reminded Zhang Huai in a low voice when he saw that Zhang Huai remained silent. Zhang Huai glanced at Lin Ning. He looked suspicious and still didn't answer. Yes, second young master, someone urged again. The person who spoke this time was the same person who was with Xin Gang just now. Lin Ning raised the corners of his lips and looked at Zhang Huai again. Just as he was about to speak, Zhang Huai finally said, "Okay. I agree." Lin Ning smiled brightly. Can I see your defense plan now? As he spoke, he was looking at the people who were looking at her with Xin Gang just now with unkind eyes. A flash of embarrassment flashed across several people's faces, and they all avoided looking at Lin Ning. Please. Zhang Huai turned sideways and led Lin Ning the way. Lin Ning was not polite and came to the table again. The zombie wave is coming from the front, coming from this main road before the end of the world. The number is estimated to be no less than 20,000. Currently, a large number of zombies are basically accumulated in this location, and they are attacking Quanglin's second line of defense. Zhang Huai pointed on the map with a signature pen and told Lin Ning the situation. This is the strongest line of defense in the Quanglin base. If it is breached, Quanglin will have only the last line of defense to defend. Moreover, it will fall quickly, Zhang Huai said seriously. Right now, they definitely can't defend it on their own. Zhang Lin died, and most of his people were taken in by him. But there were also many people who took refuge in his second uncle and third uncle respectively. Fortunately, the second uncle didn't have any overt conflicts with him. The third uncle was different. Although he got along well with him in front of his father, he never stopped stumbling upon him in private. Xin Gang just now was one of them. If it hadn't been for these things, he wouldn't have discovered that something was wrong very late and allowed the zombie wave to form under his nose. However, the matter is now at this point, and we can't take care of anything else for the time being. We can only get through the current crisis first. Len Ning glanced at the position pointed by Zhang Huai. He pondered for a moment. "Leave this place to me." Then he pointed his finger at a core fortress. Everyone's expressions changed. "Master Len, this is the core of the current front line choke point. If it is breached by zombies, the current defense line will collapse immediately." Someone couldn't help but raise his voice. Seeing Zhang Huai looking at him, the man retracted his exaggerated expression in fear. The others had complicated expressions, hesitated to speak, and looked at Zhang Huai worriedly. They are all afraid of death. But this position is really critical, and leaving it to Len Ning is not a wise choice at all. Haha, Len Ning chuckled lightly, scanning everyone's faces one by one. "I forgot to tell you. Although I only brought a total of 117 people here. But all the people I brought are experts from the 5th branch of my Thunder base. One of the 2 helmsmen is at the 4th level of the fire system, and the other is at the peak of the 3rd level of the power system. The 50 masters of superpowers under each of them are all the elites of the 5th branch, and their strength is above the mid-level of the 3rd level. In addition to their supernatural strength, they are each equipped with arms and supplies worth a truckload of high-quality guns, and they are all strong men who have experienced hundreds of battles. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse." Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 565. Everyone was shocked on the spot. 4th level? The 3rd level peak? 100 strong men who are at least mid-level 3? Are they all equipped with the most sophisticated equipment? When did 3rd level masters become like cabbage? The only 15 people left are in slightly worse condition. They were just ordinary soldiers from my 5th branch before. Because I have only reached the 3rd level, I am qualified to apply for the 1st and 2nd elite helms. Since I have nothing to do, I plan to take them out for some experience and fun." "Who knew that, Teacher Zhang? You called me directly in the 5th branch and asked me to bring someone to help." When these boys heard about this, they insisted on coming. A hint of sarcasm flashed across Len Ning's face. "I just didn't expect that you would be so unwelcome when they came here with all their enthusiasm." Everyone's faces were instantly ashamed, even the people from Zhang Huai were the same. They had some objections to Len Ning before, and felt that she was perfunctory by bringing only so many people. But now I realize that this was not just perfunctory, it was obviously a great effort. A 3rd level master. If you release them, each one will be worth 1 to 100. They dispatched so many experts at once, and most of them are elites among the elites. It would be a great honor for Quanglan base. At the same time, everyone was also very shocked. Len Ning has so many superpower masters with just one move, and she is just the leader of the Thunder base. If this was applied to the entire Thunder base, how many masters would there be? You must know that in their Quanglan base, the total number of 3rd level masters is less than 30. As for the masters who have reached the middle stage of the 3rd level, they can be counted on one hand. This gap is too big. When did this happen? Aren't their Quanglan not much worse than the Thunder? How could there be such a big difference? Zhang Huai didn't think about this at all. After all, he knew about Len Ning's pharmaceutical factory. In addition, the Thunder base itself is rich and has no shortage of crystal cores. The speed at which their superpowers advance through the ranks is unmatched by ordinary people. The first thing that came to his mind was the condition he agreed to Len Ning just now. He knew that it was not that easy for Len Ning to open his mouth, but now it seemed that he had indeed fallen into a trap. By giving Len Ning twice the extra crystal core, Quanglan would have to suffer a lot this time. But it's too late to regret, it's better to find a way to solve the current dilemma first. What happened just now was my fault. I didn't take care of my subordinates. I won't do it next time. Zhang Huai apologized to Len Ning again. Len Ning curled his lips and said it was revealed. I'll leave this place to you. Zhang Huai looked at Len Ning solemnly. The safety of Quanglan base depends on you. As soon as these words came out, everyone looked at Len Ning. There was no doubt or contempt in his eyes, only respect remained. Although some of them were still a little skeptical and felt that what Len Ning just said was exaggerated. But this matter was of great importance, and she had to go to the battlefield herself, so they believed that she would not exaggerate too much. She is afraid that she really has that strength. Len Ning's words completely shocked their hearts. They might really need to understand and think about many things. Don't worry. We will do our best to kill zombies for the sake of the crystal core. Len Ning glanced at Zhang Huai with a chuckle, then turned and walked out. Zhang Huai quickly looked at Yan Yu, who was not far away. Hall Master Len, wait for me. Yan Yu hurriedly chased Len Ning and led the way for Len Ning. Everyone in the room had complicated expressions, and then they remembered that they had urged Zhang Huai to agree to Len Ning's conditions. Thinking about everything that had just happened, they couldn't calm down for a long time. Len Ning left the combat command room and took Yan Yu to where Zhou Tao and the soldiers were. Seeing Len Ning coming back, the soldiers immediately tensed up. The superpowers who were watching the excitement unconsciously averted their eyes. I don't know if it was because they were frightened by Zhou Tao's pressure just now, but they had no intention of looking down on Len Ning at this time. I even began to feel in my heart that maybe Len Ning was really as strong as the rumors said. After all, superpower masters have a distinguished status and generally have high spirits. If she had no ability, how could such a powerful master be willing to follow her? Hall Master, Zhou Tao's face was filled with joy and he quickly saluted Len Ning. Seeing Yan Yu next to Len Ning, he also said hello with his eyes. Yan Yu looked at Zhou Tao, whose aura was completely different from before the apocalypse, and felt a little envious in his heart. Both Yuan Xing and Zhou Tao are now strong men with great power. We are no longer on the same level as him. Yes, Len Ning responded, walked to the center, and faced the soldiers he brought with him. Brothers, Quanglin Base has made a promise to me. In addition to the crystal cores obtained by hunting zombies for our rescue this time, Quanglin will also give us twice the number of crystal nuclei as reward, Len Ning said loudly. Smiles immediately broke out on the soldiers' faces. Lord, if we kill 5,000 zombies, will Quanglin give us an additional 10,000 crystal cores? A soldier asked in a loud voice. Of course, Len Ning replied with a smile. What if we kill 10,000 people? Someone continued to ask excitedly. Len Ning had a smile on his face. Zhou Tao glanced at Len Ning, smiled fiercely at the soldier and said, You boy! Have you never studied mathematics? You can kill 10,000 and give 20,000, you don't understand this. Haha, everyone laughed immediately. Then let's wrap up the zombie wave and not leave them alone, the soldiers quickly became happy. These words pricked the ears of the surrounding supernatural beings. Do these people really think they are invincible? They also contain the zombie wave. Why didn't they contain all the zombies in City A and directly liberate City A? Unfortunately, although they found these voices harsh, no one dared to speak out to refute them. Because Zhou Tao's intimidating power was too strong, and Len Ning was also present, none of them had the courage to anger the two of them face to face. Okay, Len Ning reached out and pressed down, making everyone quiet down. He waited until the scene was quiet before continuing. Quanglin has handed us the most important position in the defense line, which is also the place where the zombie wave will hit hardest. Do you think we should let them down? You shouldn't, the soldiers said immediately. Kill him as fast as he can, Zhou Tao said loudly. Kill as fast as you can. Kill as fast as you can, the soldiers immediately followed. Len Ning smiled and reached down again to silence the soldiers. Then, he asked Yan Yu to lead the way and led the soldiers towards the fortress in a mighty manner. After the soldiers walked away, the superpowers watching the excitement at Quanglin Base began to discuss angrily. He said he was waiting to see Len Ning and the others swallowed by the zombies. Having said that, sooner or later they will taste the consequences of their arrogance. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kge now. Chapter 566. Unfortunately, Len Ning and the others couldn't hear all this. Even if I heard it, I'm afraid it would just be funny. Soon, Len Ning and his party arrived at the front of the position. Looking at the zombie wave that was less than 20 meters away from them at the moment, a flash of excitement flashed in Len Ning's eyes. At the same time, Xiaoman and Xiaohui were already jumping excitedly in her sea of consciousness. "Mom, let's find something delicious together," Xiaoman shook the leaves excitedly. Squeak, squeak. Xiaohui also swayed its branches, even looking more impatient. "Don't worry, there will be plenty of opportunities later." Len Ning smiled and touched the two little ones. Then he regained consciousness and glanced at the soldiers behind him, then called aside Zhou Tao, the temporary captain of Yuan Xing's team, and the two team captains he designated. "The people in the first branch and the newcomers will stay behind first. Zhou Tao and I will take the people out to kill the first wave. In half an hour, Zhou Tao, you will take the people back to defend and replace the people," Len Ning said solemnly. Everyone has different expressions. Yes, Zhou Tao was the first to reply excitedly. "After returning to defense, if Yuan Xing comes back, let him lead you to kill the second wave." Len Ning then looked at the temporary captain of Yuan Xing's team. Yes, the temporary captain suddenly looked happy. "What if Yuan Xing doesn't come back?" Zhou Tao asked Len Ning with a smile. "He was only given half an hour, how could that be enough?" The temporary captain's expression changed slightly, and he looked at Len Ning nervously. Their helmsman took half of his brothers to cut off the flow of zombies, and he didn't know whether it was going well or not. If they really didn't arrive after half an hour, wouldn't they be at a disadvantage if they didn't share the steering wheel? "If you don't come back, you can take the brothers up." "It will take 15 minutes," Len Ning said directly. "Why is it only 15 minutes? The temporary captain suddenly felt aggrieved. "What happened in 15 minutes? Is it really easy to deal with the zombie wave? There are only 25 people, and one of them may be swallowed if you are not careful. If something happens to you, you must not make the hall master feel so distressed." Zhou Tao shouted loudly. Chong taught the temporary captain a lesson. The temporary captain was angry, but couldn't find the words to refute Zhou Tao. Usually, the helmsman Zhou likes to trick their helmsman, but the helmsman is smart and doesn't let him succeed. But now that the helmsman is gone, how can he, an honest man, be his opponent? We won't be swallowed up by the zombies." The temporary captain thought about it and couldn't find the words to retort Zhou Tao, so he only said one sentence. When the helmsman hands over the team to him, he has to take responsibility for the brothers and fight for their due rights as the first helmsman. Otherwise, when the helmsman comes back, how can he have the face to face him? "Hey, you kid, you still dare to talk back to me," Zhou Tao immediately said angrily, but when he looked at the temporary captain, his expression was smiling, and he was obviously not really angry. It's just that the temporary captain's heartstrings were tense at the moment, and he didn't realize that Zhou Tao was joking, and he felt even more aggrieved instantly. "Okay. As I said before, you have to speak in a civilized manner. As for I and not I, I'm probably older than you," Len Ning scolded Zhou Tao. "Those who know are fine, just think that he is used to it. What about those who don't know?" As soon as these words came out, the temporary captain relaxed. He immediately looked at Len Ning with a moved expression. Before, everyone was saying that the hall master was partial to Zhou Ruizu, but now it seems that is not the case. "Oh," Zhou Tao responded with a smile. "I won't argue with you, kid," then he said to the temporary captain. Seeing the temporary captain showing fear again, Len Ning rolled his eyes at Zhou Tao again. "If Yuan Xing fails to rush back in time, I will give you 20 minutes. The premise is that if you can't stand it, you must retreat in time." Len Ning looked at the temporary captain. "Yes. Thank you, Hall Master." A big smile immediately broke out on the temporary captain's face. The admiration and affection for Len Ning in my heart suddenly surged to the top. Good luck to you, kid, Zhou Tao glanced at the temporary captain and muttered. He didn't say much about Len Ning's decision. Huh, just think of it as compensation for scaring him just now. Thus, this small dispute was temporarily resolved. That's it for the time being. You guys will take turns. Wait until the zombie wave subsides and follow my instructions before we all go out to fight, Len Ning continued. Yes, Zhou Tao and the temporary captain responded immediately. Realizing that there were two missing voices, Len Ning noticed that the two team captains she appointed were standing aside and hesitated to speak, looking very aggrieved. Hall Master, we also want to go to war, the tall and thin captain bravely said to Len Ning. Yes, Hall Master, you agreed before you brought us here that you would let us participate in the war, the pudgy vice captain followed. The first and second rudders are on board, why can we only stay within the defense line? The tall and thin captain looked at Len Ning aggrievedly. This is how Captain Yuan's men asked the hall leader for 5 more minutes of fighting time just now. They can do it too. Zhou Tao looked at Len Ning with a smile, waiting to see how she would solve it. These two people are quite interesting. They are very good at learning and selling now. If these two really get married, should he also learn from it? Maybe he can get more resources from the hall master in the future. Hey. Len Ning glanced at Zhou Tao angrily and warned with his eyes, stop being so evil. Zhou Tao smiled, waved his hand, and walked away. Okay, it's okay if he doesn't get involved. Seeing Zhou Tao leave, Len Ning looked at the two captains she had chosen, tall, thin and short. As I said just now, when the zombie wave is reduced, everyone will join in, so there is no such thing as saying that you are not allowed to go to the battlefield. The two captains looked at each other, still aggrieved in their eyes. Before your strength is insufficient, be prepared to give opportunities to the strong. If you want to be at the front of the team in the future, seize the time to make yourself stronger, Len Ning said solemnly. The attitude is no longer as mild as before. These words successfully silenced the two of them. At the same time, it also stimulated the two of them. I got it, Hall Master. We will be admitted to the elite helmsmanship. The tall, thin captain stood up straight and saluted Len Ning respectfully. The squat captain followed suit. Len Ning nodded. Hold your defense. After saying this, he walked forward. When leaving, he waved to Zhou Tao. Zhou Tao's face was filled with joy. Let's go, then he shouted at the soldiers behind him. Then Len Ning's men successfully took over the fortress with the assistance of Yan Yu. Then, according to Len Ning's arrangement, Zhou Tao and his men followed her to the battlefield first, while the rest defended the fortress. Following Len Ning's order, the machine gunners took position and began to shoot at the zombie wave outside the fortress. They wanted to use this to force the passage open so that their people could have room to enter. As bullets continued to fly out, many zombies fell down one after another. But immediately, the zombies behind stepped on the corpse of the fallen zombie and climbed up. The zombies continued to rush towards the defense line like a tide, and even climbed up. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 567. Seeing this situation, a chill flashed in Len Ning's eyes, and then he released Xiao Man, who was already restless. Before anyone noticed what happened, a huge vine appeared out of thin air not far from the position. Then, the vines with sharp barbs began to harvest the heads of the surrounding zombies like a sickle. Thousands of zombies began to fall like a tide. In less than 5 minutes, thanks to the double cooperation of machine gun fire on zombies at close range and Xiaoman killing zombies at a distance, a space was finally cleared in front of the fortress. At the same time, Zhang Huai and others on the hillside of Quanglin Base also saw this tragic situation. That's Hall Master Leng's wood-type spiritual pet, one person asked with a look of horror on his face. What kind of wood spiritual pet? That thing is a monster, it's not an exaggeration to say it's a human head harvester. Calling a spiritual pet such a soft and cute name doesn't match it at all. It's so lethal. It's worthy of being said that it can kill 10,000 with one, someone followed. With Hall Master Leng here, the defense line should be able to be held, another person said with a happy face. The people on the side who were previously dissatisfied with Leng Ning also looked down the mountain with admiration. Hall Master Leng is indeed very strong, and the rumors are not exaggerated at all. With her here, the crisis at their Quanglin base can be overcome. Second young master, have you seen Hall Master Leng's wood-type spiritual pet before? A person who followed the third city lord actually asked Zhang Huai. It wasn't that he wanted to curry favor with Zhang Huai or show favor to him, but he was too curious about Xiao Man and wanted to know more about Xiao Man. Such a big killer, if their Quanglin base also has one, why should they worry about the zombie wave? No, Zhang Huai looked away from the bottom of the mountain and replied. I've only heard about it before, but this is the first time I've seen it. Seeing is believing, but this reality is even scarier than the legend. Leng Ning actually used her wood power when she helped him kill Zhang Lin a while ago. He thought what he saw then was terrifying enough, but he didn't expect that she didn't use all her strength. Leng Ning's strength is unfathomable. Hall Master Leng is too strong, one person said excitedly. Everyone agreed. At the bottom of the mountain, at the same time, following Leng Ning's order, Zhou Tao led a group of his men into the battlefield. Immediately afterwards, Leng Ning stepped on a vine and leaped directly onto a huge branch plate condensed by Xiaoman. Then, under everyone's shocked gaze, Leng Ning drove Xiaoman to kill all the way, leading her towards the center of the zombie wave. As soon as she and Xiaoman moved away, the zombies immediately rushed towards the position outside the defense line like a flood. Immediately, Zhou Tao and his men began to massacre. This scene shocked Zhang Huai and others on the mountainside. Hall Master Leng, what is she going to do? One person asked in horror. With her commanding the wood spiritual pet, the fortress will definitely be safe. But now that she leaves, how can the remaining people resist? Also, even though she was standing on her wooden spiritual pet, it was still so far away from the ground. But it can't resist the overwhelming number of zombies. No, there are already zombies crawling on her wood spiritual pet. Yes, it would be great to hold on to the fortress. This way we will be able to hold on until reinforcements arrive, one person followed. Second young master, can you think of a way to inform Hall Master Leng? We can't take risks now, one person simply spoke directly to Zhang Huai. Zhang Huai glanced at everyone one by one, then turned around and looked down the mountain again. She knew it if she dared to do this. I guess she wanted to kill the zombie king, Zhang Huai analyzed. Everyone was startled. Zombie king? Yes, the biggest reason why the zombie wave is so violent is because of the zombie king. If the zombie king can be killed, the danger factor of this zombie wave will be greatly reduced. The previous wave of zombies in Thunder Base seemed to be quickly resolved because the zombie king was killed by Lei Xiao and Hall Master Leng. But one person was still worried. It would definitely be a good thing if he could kill the zombie king. But now, how could it be so easy for Hall Master Leng to kill the zombie king alone? Besides, the fortress is such an important location, if it falls. Don't worry. I know my student will not fight a battle she is not sure of, Zhang Huai said with a bit of pride. Besides, if you look at the position outside the fortress, it has been so long. Have you seen that the safety range of that position has been reduced by half an inch? Zhang Huai continued. Not only Leng Ningqiang, but also the people she brought were all top-notch experts. He now suspected that if they were given enough time, all the zombie waves at the foot of the mountain might be harvested by them. Everyone was shocked. Only then did he notice that the situation was exactly as the second young master said. The safety circle of the position was always controlled by the fighting team. Although they are not as fast as Len Ning in killing zombies, they basically use the group damage skills. They can kill several or even dozens of zombies at one time. The most powerful one among them is undoubtedly the 4th level fire-type helmsman that Hall Master Len mentioned to them before. The fire power he releases is very domineering. A whip with fire power can charcoal the heads or bodies of a large area of zombies, and it is very efficient to eliminate zombies. In addition to killing zombies, the combatants in this team also took turns disposing of zombie corpses and stored all the corpses in the space jade they brought with them. This is to prevent zombie corpses from accumulating too much and affecting their fight. Awesome. With them here, there will be no problem at the fortress. Seeing Zhou Tao swing out another flame whip with spiritual power, one person exclaimed. Too strong. If you pick any one of these people, one is worth 100, one person praised. It's strange to say that the Thunder Base is planning to build a safe zone. They are really strong. Yes. If we, Quanglin, had so many strong men, we wouldn't be like one person said excitedly. But when he said this, he immediately stopped talking. Seeing that the others did not look at him with hostile eyes, the man felt relieved. At this time, everyone fell silent and began to think about Quanglin's current situation and the gap between them and the Thunder Base. People who looked down on Len Ning before even felt ashamed now. There is such a big gap between them and others, and they are still complacent and think they are great. It is not an exaggeration to use the idiom Yelang arrogant to describe them. This time it was a slap in the face. I just hope Hall Master Leng doesn't hate them because of this, otherwise they will become the sinners of Quanglin Base. Next, it's time for them to make some changes. It's not a good strategy to be an enemy of the Thunder Base. On the contrary, they should also establish a good relationship with the Thunder Base and cooperate for mutual benefit. At this moment, not only the people in Zhonghui had such thoughts, but also the people who were dissatisfied with him. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Qi Now. Chapter 568. Before, they only felt that although the second young master had some abilities, he was not bloody and only focused on the Thunder Base. Now it seems that they have overestimated themselves. The Thunder Base does have such capital. With such a powerful backstage, there are probably countless bases that want to cooperate with them or seek shelter. The second young master was able to seize the opportunity to establish a close cooperative relationship with Hall Master Leng, all because of their consideration. At this time, everyone saw that Len Ning had driven Xiaoman all the way to the center of the zombie wave. Countless zombies wanted to attack Len Ning, but most of them were quickly harvested by the giant wooden sickle that Xiaoman grew. A few were lucky enough to climb onto Xiaoman's branches, but they were soon pierced through the head by the vine's spikes and fell down. Zhang Huai and the others used binoculars to peer at Len Ning's situation. Seeing this horrifying scene, they couldn't help but sweat for Len Ning. But Len Ning was very calm. Her eyes were wandering among the countless zombies, and her expression remained unchanged as she observed the surrounding situation. Suddenly, everyone saw that a zombie avoided the attack of vines and approached behind Len Ning. Zhang Huai's expression changed, and he almost subconsciously prepared to remind Len Ning. But he immediately realized that even if he spoke, Len Ning would not be able to hear him from such a distance. At the critical moment, Len Ning suddenly turned around and shot the zombie directly in the head. I saw that she acted swiftly and unhurriedly, as if she had been prepared and knew that the zombie would climb up. Yes, although Len Ning was concentrating on searching for the zombie king, he was always on high alert. Besides, she and Xiaoman have the same mind, and Xiaoman will notify her in time if something happens. More importantly, she also exerted some mental power on Xiaoman, and she actually knew everything that Xiaoman encountered. The zombie she just killed was an extremely rare speed zombie. This kind of zombie has a flexible body and moves extremely fast, making it really difficult to deal with. But their lethality was not strong, so Len Ning didn't let Xiaoman kill it as soon as it appeared. But she didn't expect that it actually avoided Xiaoman's attack and ran in front of her. She had no choice but to take action herself. Everyone on the mountainside breathed a sigh of relief when they saw this scene. Hall Master Len was actually well prepared, and the grace with which he took action was really sassy. After killing the speed zombies, Len Ning was about to continue looking for the zombie king, but was interrupted by the squeaking sound of Xiao Huai in her sea of consciousness. Gigi Master, Xiao Huai is going out? Gigi brother Xiaoman is killing zombies, and so do others. Squeak, the master doesn't love Xiao Huai anymore, woo woo. Len Ning frowned, don't make any noise, I'll let you out now, then he said in a deep voice. Seeing so many zombies, it's no wonder Xiao Huai couldn't hold himself back. Since the last time she and her eldest brother went out to hunt zombies, she hadn't let Xiao Huai out for a long time. Forget it, let it come out to eat happily today. It would also help to speed up the killing of zombies. Thinking of this, Len Ning finally released Xiao Huai from the consciousness sea space. The next scene completely shocked everyone on the mountainside. A towering locust tree suddenly appeared out of thin air not far from Len Ning, and then fell heavily, crushing dozens of zombies to death. Then, the locust tree quickly grew a thick root system and penetrated the root system into the ground. Before anyone had time to question or sigh, the locust tree had already attacked the surrounding zombies. I saw a large number of vines growing out of the locust tree, which entangled the zombies and sent them directly into its crown. After everyone took a closer look, they discovered that there was actually a huge tree hole hidden in the crown of the locust tree. And all the zombies caught by its vines were thrown into the tree hole. This locust tree actually eats zombies. No, it's very possible that he even eats people. Thinking of this, everyone felt some chills running down their spines. This terrifying creature that suddenly appeared did not need to be guessed to be the work of Len Ning. She actually had more than one wood spiritual pet. In less than 5 minutes, this locust tree spiritual pet actually swallowed hundreds of zombies. This is too lethal. Just imagine, if she didn't use these 2 wood spiritual pets to deal with zombies, but to deal with people. They almost didn't dare to think about the next scene. At this time, those who were previously hostile to Len Ning, and even hoped in their hearts that Quanglan Base would one day go to war with Thunder Base, felt a chill down their backs. The few people in Quanglan Base are probably not enough to eat and kill these 2 wood-type spiritual pets. Len Ning's talent is so incredible, his strength is more than enough to defeat 10,000 people. Len Ning didn't care what the people at Quanglan Base thought. After settling down in Xiao Huai, he continued to search for the zombie king in the vast tide of zombies. Unfortunately, she searched for it several times, but still found nothing. There was no other way, Len Ning could only prepare to kill the zombie wave directly without finding the zombie king. She finally stopped restraining herself and increased her mental power output, doubling Xiaoman's size. Then, he began to command Xiaoman's giant scythe to harvest wildly. Looking at this scene, Zhang Huai and others were so frightened that they almost forgot to breathe. She actually still retains her strength. According to her current fighting method, this zombie wave will be harvested sooner or later. Not only Zhang Huai and others were shocked, but also the superpowers at Quanglan Base on the defense line and the soldiers from the 5th branch brought by Len Ning were all shocked. The superpowers at Quanglan Base looked in the direction of Len Ning, reluctant to blink, and even almost forgot to shoot at the zombie wave outside. The soldiers of the 5th Hall were also shocked and proud. This is the strength of their Hall Master, he is so cool. They had heard about the Hall Master's heroic deeds in the last zombie wave before, but unfortunately only a few people saw it with their own eyes. Now they finally saw the heroic figure of the Hall Master killing zombies with his wood spiritual pet, and they could brag to others for a while after going back. At this time, someone even took out a camera, determined to record this wonderful scene. The temporary captain was also shocked by this scene. Instead of stopping his men, he took out the camera. Seeing this, the others followed suit. Anyway, the position outside is safe. Captain Joe and the others didn't let the zombies come over at all. They didn't need to attack the zombies at all. This is the most appropriate time for them to record a video for the Hall Master. So Zhang Huai and others on the mountainside saw this weird scene. Their moods were somewhat complicated at this moment. I felt that these people from the Thunder Base didn't take this battle seriously at all, and I was a little envious that they could film this thrilling scene so close. Oh, what a pity. It's impossible to photograph them at such a distance. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Qi Now. Chapter 569. As Len Ning accelerated the killing of zombies, the zombies on the battlefield began to be quickly swept away. The place where Len Ning and Xiaoman walked along turned into a cemetery of piles of corpses. At the same time, Zhou Tao's team also began to expand from the original small area. The ferocious zombie wave was no longer as scary in the eyes of everyone as it was at the beginning. After a while, the 30 minutes finally arrived. Although Yuan Xing has not returned yet, the soldiers of the first sub-rudder are already eager to try. Come on, our helmsman will take the remaining brothers back. One of Zhou Tao's capable men approached the temporary captain and said. Okay. A flash of light flashed in the temporary captain's eyes. Then he waved behind him, brothers, it's time for our performance. Follow me. He picked up the gun and ran towards the exit of the tower. Where could the soldiers of the 1st Division wait? They immediately picked up the guy and went after their leader. Soon, this small team took over from Zhou Tao and others and continued to resist the zombie tide and hunt zombies. Boy, you can't break out with just this little guy. How about I come with you? Zhou Tao said to the temporary captain with a smile. Half an hour was enough to drain the mental energy of his brothers, but it was far from enough for him. He has been leisurely using his mental power and has just finished warming up. Master Zhou, this is not good. Before the Hall Master the temporary captain said with some resistance. In fact, it would be a good thing for them if Captain Zhou could stay and fight the zombies with them. After all, there are indeed very few of them, and there is no one who is particularly strong who can hold the line back. But the Hall Master did not allow Captain Zhou to stay on the battlefield before. Does this count as violating the Hall Master's wishes? The Hall Master didn't say he wouldn't let me stay and watch you, Zhou Tao said immediately after seeing the expectation in the temporary captain's eyes. What is the relationship between me and Yuan Xing? If he is not here, I will naturally have to protect you, Zhou Tao said with an upright face. Come on, my brothers finally opened up the situation just now and more than doubled the size of the small position they had before. If you can't hold on and let the position shrink again, won't our efforts be in vain? See the temporary captain? Too much reaction, Zhou Tao continued. This is also for the sake of the overall situation. Zhou Tao patted the temporary captain's shoulder with his big hand. If it doesn't work, if the Hall Master blames me, then I will shoulder the responsibility of the head office, right? Seeing that the temporary captain still didn't reply, Zhou Tao said with a heavy voice. Finally, they weakened the impact of a wave of zombies and expanded the territory of their position. If these 20-odd boys lost their territory to him, he would be furious watching inside. Okay. However, if the Hall Master is really to blame, I will bear the responsibility with you, the temporary captain said seriously. Although the Hall Master did not allow Captain Zhou to stay, he did not prohibit him from remaining on the battlefield. Captain Zhou was right. The position was built by the brothers of the second helmsman with all their efforts and could not be lost in the hands of their first helmsman. Okay. You can do it, kid. When this battle is over, I'll treat you and Yuen Xin to have a drink, Zhou Tao said proudly. The temporary captain's face turned red. The hall leader had just taught Captain Zhou a lesson before and told him not to use foul language, but he did it again. But he has been used to it since he has been in the team for so long. They are all rough men, so it's not strange for them to say bad words. Therefore, Zhou Tao stayed and continued to fight the zombie wave with the 25 people from the first branch. Thanks to his presence, in the next 18 minutes, the soldiers of the 1st Division fought bravely and managed to withstand the zombie attack. Although they failed to further expand their position, they did not lose any ground. At the same time, Len Ning continued to direct Xiaoman to kill zombies. As she continued to march in the zombie wave, many places in the endless zombie wave had become stagnant. These places are full of zombie corpses piled high, so naturally they can no longer move. Xiao Huai had already eaten enough and started killing zombies to get the crystal cores. A vine kills one at a time, then throws the body aside. In just over half an hour, Xiao Huai had already created a mountain of corpses. Seeing this scene, everyone on the mountainside was once again amazed at the strength and terror of the people in Thunder Base. A fire master who had been fighting continuously for more than half an hour was not tired at all, but became more and more fierce as he fought. What's even more terrifying is Len Ning, who seems to be driving a large meat grinder. In her eyes, those zombies are almost like crops in the field, and they are all harvested by her wood spiritual pet. There is also the locust tree spiritual pet released by Len Ning. Although its lethality is not as good as the meat grinder Len Ning is commanding, it is still like a machine, killing zombies in an orderly and tireless manner. As if those zombies were just products on its production line, it just grabbed them at a steady speed, stamped them, and then threw them away. The operation is mechanical and stable, without any trouble. This thrilling scene continued until another half hour passed. At this time Yuen Xin had arrived. After comforting his people, Yuen Xin asked everyone to have a good rest and wait for the next time they play. Len Ning slaughtered all the way, and finally she noticed something unusual. Just now, she saw several zombies running away from her, and they were running in the same direction. When she saw a thin and inconspicuous zombie protecting among those zombies, Len Ning knew that she had finally found the Zombie King. Without any pause, Len Ning directly activated more mental power, making Xiaoman taller. Then, like an ostrich with long legs, Xiaoman carried Len Ning and chased the Zombie King. Although there was a wave of zombies blocking it, it could not stop Xiaoman's progress at all. The zombies can only become flesh and blood under Xiaoman's feet. The Zombie King realized that something was wrong, and immediately summoned zombies to stop Len Ning, speeding up and letting the zombies continue to escape with him. Then, except for the zombies on the edge of the zombie wave, almost all the zombies swarmed towards Len Ning. And there were many zombies with special powers, and they began to attack Xiaoman angrily. Unfortunately, Xiaoman's body is extremely large at the moment, and it also has a harvesting scythe and vines full of barbs. The superpowered zombies' supernatural attacks cannot cause much damage to Xiaoman at all, let alone attack to the point where he can stand tall enough and have a chance. Len Ning was protected by Xiaoman. Seeing that the violent attacks of the supernatural zombies could not stop Xiaoman and Len Ning at all, the Zombie King no longer looked back and continued to command the zombies to flee with him. It's a pity that it could escape from Len Ning's hands after it has been discovered. When Len Ning was less than 100 meters away from the Zombie King, Len Ning took out her sniper rifle directly from the space ring. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 570. At such a close distance, she would kill him with one strike. The sniper rifle was assembled in advance. Len Ning raised the sniper rifle and tilted his head to look at the scope. Then, the trigger was pulled. As soon as the zombie king showed its head, a bullet was shot into the back of its head. Almost at the same moment, the angry mood of the zombies was relieved, and the aggressiveness of the zombies was greatly reduced. Len Ning raised the corners of his lips and took out the signal gun from the space ring. Then, he fired a shot into the sky. The zombie king is dead. Our hall master has killed the zombie king. Almost immediately, the soldiers left behind in the fifth branch began to shout. The sound was loud enough, and soon the superpowers around the defense line heard it one after another and reached each other. Zhang Huai and others on the mountainside soon learned the news. Great! Now that the zombie king is dead, the zombie wave won't be so destructive, one person said excitedly. Hall Master Leng is really amazing. Too strong. Everyone was in admiration. Zhang Huai smiled on his face and said, "Call the Thunder military headquarters and tell them we don't need support." Then he said to the person next to him, "In this situation, I'm afraid the battle will be over before the Thunder troops arrive." Everyone was shocked. Then there were smiles on their faces. There is indeed no need for follow-up reinforcements from Thunder Base. Hall Master Leng and the people she brought along with their Quanglin military strength are enough to solve the dilemma before them. Yes, the person next to Zhang Huai said immediately. Then he ran towards the combat command room. Zhang Huai once again glanced at Len Ning, who was still strangling zombies in the zombie wave, and reached out to take off his heavy coat. "Second young master," someone guessed what Zhang Huai wanted to do and shouted. The rest of the people also looked at Zhang Huai. Zhang Huai smiled, gave up the idea of handing the coat to others, and directly put the coat into his own space ring. "After all, I am a third-level lightning power user. There is no reason to stand here and watch the excitement. Give me the order and let Quanglin's superpowers get ready. Wait for my order and enter the battlefield to clean up the zombies," Zhang Huai said to the crowd while adjusting his cuffs. Everyone looked happy. "Yes," he responded quickly. Zhang Huai glanced at Len Ning again, and then quickly walked down the mountain. In this winter, it is much better to move your muscles and bones than to stand still. Not long after, Zhang Huai entered the battlefield. He first found Yuan Xing, and then took Yuan Xing to find Zhou Tao. Then the three of them worked together to forcefully break the bloody path and headed towards Len Ning. As expected of three top experts, the three of them worked together to fight their way out of the zombie wave. This scene made the superpowers within the defense line excited. So strong. Second young master and his students are so strong. Their second young master is really amazing. Not only are they strong, but the students they train are even stronger. Len Ning soon discovered this situation. The corner of his mouth curled up, and he immediately slowed down the speed of harvesting zombies, asking Xiaoman and himself to lower their mental power output and wait for the three people to arrive. Although she is still some distance away from mental exhaustion, the previous high intensity of mental loss has already made her feel that there is not much left in her mental savings. Just now, she thought about killing the zombies for a while and then taking Xiaoman to kill and retreat towards the defense line, but now that she thought about it, she didn't need to. If she only maintains a low amount of mental power output, there will be no problem even if she persists for another 5 or 6 hours. After lowering the mental power output, Xiaoman's lethality dropped sharply. But despite this, Xiaoman is still the most powerful zombie harvesting weapon on the battlefield. No zombie can get close to it and the Len Ning on it. Len Ning was not idle either and took out 2 guns from the space ring. The 2 guns fired in volley, each shot hitting the zombies for it. In less than 10 minutes, the Zhang Huai trio finally arrived. Yuan Xing and Zhou Tao consciously helped Zhang Huai resist the zombie wave that surrounded them, leaving room for Zhang Huai and Len Ning to talk. Len Ning also gave Xiaoman the autonomy to kill the zombies approaching them. "Thank you for your hard work, Hall Master Leng. After we clean up some more zombies, We will arrange for the superpowers to counterattack, Zhang Huai shouted to Len Ning, who was at the top. What's the deal with the conditions you promised me before? Len Ning raised her lips slightly and asked Zhang Huai. Now that the zombie king is dead, Xiaoman, Xiao Huai and her people have killed a large number of zombies. The current zombie wave is no longer a big threat. As long as they are given more time, they can take down all these zombies. Zhang Huai was stunned for a moment, and a hint of embarrassment flashed across his face. She is still thinking about this. After the battlefield is cleared, it will be calculated as 60%, Zhang Huai said directly. 80%, Len Ning curled his lips. After fighting for so long, her mental strength is no longer as strong as before, and her brothers must be in similar condition. Letting the people from Quanglan base join in the subsequent cleanup work is regarded as giving them some hard work. In particular, the final work of cleaning up the battlefield is really tedious and tiring. But 60% is too little. Zhang Huai was startled. 80% is too much. I make the decision and I'll give you 70% at most. She has to pay twice as many crystal cores, which is not a small amount of money. But Zhang Huai still feels that the money they paid is worth it. After all, without Len Ning and the others, the defense line would probably not be able to be defended long ago. Once zombies enter the Quanglan base, no one knows how many people will die. Deal, Len Ning raised the corner of his mouth and a bright light flashed in his eyes. She originally expected 70%, saying 80% just to give him room for bargaining. Okay. Then let's kill for another 20 minutes and then send a signal, Zhang Huai said immediately. Sure, Len Ning raised the corner of his mouth. The four of them then joined forces to continue killing zombies. With the addition of 3 people, Xiaoman's combat effectiveness, which had been reduced due to the weakened mental power output, was supplemented by the 3 people. The number of zombies continued to decrease, and the zombie tide was quickly eliminated and swept away. When the timer on Zhang Huai's wrist rang, Zhang Huai turned back and looked at Len Ning. Len Ning also stopped shooting at this time, and after making eye contact with Zhang Huai, they each took out their flare guns. Then, 2 signal flares were launched into the air at the same time. As these 2 commands sounded, the superpowers within the defense line and the people from the 5th branch of the fortress all rushed into the battlefield. At the same time, Len Ning and the other 3 people started killing zombies and slowly evacuated towards the defense line. They had solved the trickiest step, leaving the rest of the fighting and cleaning up to others. After another 20 minutes, Len Ning went all the way to take back Xiao Huai and returned to the defense line with the 3 of them. Thank you for your hard work, everyone. I have people prepare the room. You can come with me to take a rest. Be sure to stay and have dinner together at noon, Zhang Huai said to several people. Yuan Xing and Zhou Tao had smiles on their faces and strong will. But he didn't agree immediately, but looked at Len Ning. Zhang Huai also looked at Len Ning. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 571. Thank you very much, Teacher Zhang, Len Ning said with a smile. Zhang Huai immediately relaxed and was about to ask Len Ning and others to leave with him. But I heard Len Ning say, however, Teacher Zhang, can you arrange for someone to take our people to contact them first? After all, this batch of crystal nuclei is not a small number, so the brothers I brought will feel more at ease. Zhang Huai's expression suddenly froze. That's right, Teacher Zhang, our brothers are still settling the scores. We'll send someone to follow and watch. Then our brothers in the 5th branch won't be able to say anything, Zhou Tao said carelessly. Okay. You choose a few people, and I'll let Yan Yu take them over, Zhang Huai said helplessly. He really wasn't prepared to make any small moves in this matter. He felt a little uncomfortable when they were so defensive about him. Len Ning immediately looked at Yuan Xing. I'll arrange the people. After saying that, Yuan Xing immediately returned to the battlefield. The three of them looked at Yuan Xing's leaving figure and stood there for a while. The fighting is going on outside right now. Yuan Xing probably won't be back for a while. Why don't the three of us leave first? Zhang Huai suggested. Len Ning looked at Zhang Huai. When we go up the mountain, I asked Yan Yu to wait for them here. Zhang Huai continued. As teacher Zhang said, let's go up the mountain first. Then let Yan Yu tell Yuan Xing where we are. Zhou Tao also followed. Okay, Len Ning finally relaxed. So the three of them headed up the mountain. By the way, teacher Zhang, do you know where my parents are now? Zhou Tao asked Zhang Huai after walking a few steps. I heard from people at Quanglan base that after the zombie wave arrived, they relocated the residents on the mountain. His parents must have been transferred as well. Zhang Huai smiled and said, don't worry, I will place them in the city lord's mansion. You can see them later. Zhou Tao was delighted. Thank you, teacher Zhang. You took the trouble. The zombie wave is coming, where else is a safer place than the city lord's mansion? Teacher Zhang helped him a lot by connecting his family to the city lord's mansion. Yes. Mr. Zhou has made many contributions to Quanglan base. Zhang Huai responded. This is true. The Zhou family was well off before the end of the world. When they came to Quanglan base, they had a lot of valuable things in their hands. In order to build the Quanglan base, the survivors either contributed money or efforts, and the Zhou family contributed a lot of money. In addition to money, Zhou Tao's two sons, Zhou Tao's cousin, are now serving in their Quanglan military department. Although these two people are far less powerful than Zhou Tao, they are still brave and resourceful and are rare talents. I came here this time not only at your invitation, teacher Zhang, but also to take Mr. Zhou's family to the Thunder base. I also need to trouble teacher Zhang to help with the procedures, Len Ning suddenly said. Zhang Huai was stunned. Zhou Tao immediately looked at Zhang Huai with a smile. Yes. I talked to my parents before, and they also said they wanted to join me. After the end of the world, he followed Len Ning to the Thunder base in order to show off to his parents. Now that we have finally achieved some results, we can take them over to enjoy the happiness. This matter. Looking at Zhou Tao's smile, Zhang Huai looked very embarrassed. What? Quanglan base doesn't want to release anyone? Len Ning asked directly. His tone suddenly became several degrees colder. Zhou Tao also looked at Zhang Huai, and the smile on his face disappeared. Only then did he realize again that he had become a prominent person, but he had also become the target of others' wariness. If Quanglan doesn't stand by the Thunder base and takes his family, he will be threatened, or the fifth branch, or even the entire Thunder base. Thinking of this, Zhou Tao's eyes looked at Zhang Huai with a strong look of caution. Looking at the expressions of his two students, Zhang Huai sighed helplessly. I'll do it. The worst I can do is get a beating from the city lord and the others afterwards, he then said. After experiencing the battle just now, he was now more certain that they should be his comrades in arms rather than enemies. Moreover, after Len Ning led his people to show off their strength in front of so many people at Quanglan base, Quanglan military headquarters has almost completely changed its view and attitude towards Thunder base. The views of the military will directly affect the top brass. What's more, I dare not say anything else. After Zhang Lin's death, his father has always been very supportive of him. He has also asked him about the Thunder base more than once, and he even has a tendency to lean towards and rely on the Thunder base. Teacher Zhang, you are so kind. I misunderstood you just now. I apologize to you. Zhou Tao immediately beamed. Thank you, teacher Zhang, Len Ning also said. The way he looked at Zhang Huai was slightly different from before. It seems that their visit was not in vain this time, and they showed off their muscles very well. You're welcome, Zhang Huai responded with a smile. Let's go. I'll take you to the city lord's mansion to wash up and rest, and change into clean clothes. Len Ning was fine, there was no stain on his body. Zhou Tao was different from him, because the fight was so brutal that there were blood stains and even rotten flesh on his body. Especially the shoes and pants are no longer visible. Now that I think about it, I really envy Len Ning. He commanded the wood spirit pet to fight without having to come into contact with zombies at all. The whole process was efficient and clean. Haha, let's go. Zhou Tao saw Zhang Huai's envious eyes and replied with a smile. It's not just teacher Zhang, who wouldn't be envious of him. So, the three of them accelerated and went to the city lord's mansion. Zhang Huai handed the two of them to his servants to take them to another courtyard, and he explained the affairs to Yan Yu. In a room in another courtyard. Although Len Ning's clothes didn't look dirty, she had spent a lot of energy and sweated a lot. Now that the battle was won, she also wanted to take a comfortable bath and relax. Thinking that she and her brothers had earned a lot of crystal cores today and would be able to eat delicious food later, Len Ning felt happy and took a shower for a while. After leaving the bathroom, Len Ning took out the hairdryer and dried her hair. After that, I changed my clothes, put on my thick down jacket and opened the door. After walking out the door, she heard lively conversations next door. Confused, Len Ning walked over. Hall Master, Zhou Tao was the first to notice Len Ning. For a moment, all 7 people in the room, including Zhou Tao, looked at Len Ning. Oh, you must be Hall Master Len. You are so young. A middle-aged woman came over and grabbed Len Ning's arm, dragging her inside. Hall Master Len is so beautiful. She looks younger than our Zhou Tao. For a while, the women all gathered around Len Ning to talk. Cough. Just when Len Ning was tense with embarrassment, a vigorous old man coughed lightly in his throat. This cough made all the women stop their hands and shut their mouths. Zhou Tao glanced at his grandfather and quickly stood up to introduce him to Len Ning. Master, this is my grandfather, father, and uncle. Zhou Tao introduced the 3 men in the room. The 3 of them immediately cast friendly glances at Len Ning.